Imagine standing alone on the edge of the American frontier, miles from the nearest town, where law exists only as an idea and survival depends entirely on what you can defend with your own hands. In that world, justice does not arrive with a badge or a gavel. It arrives with speed, force, and finality. One weapon, more than any other, changed how that justice was delivered. The Henry rifle was not simply a technological advancement. It was a turning point in human behavior on the frontier. When it first appeared, it shattered the expectations of combat, transforming hesitation into dominance and vulnerability into control. This rifle gave individuals the power to decide outcomes instantly, often without warning, and in doing so, it redefined what justice meant in a land without institutions. Modern films and television often romanticize frontier life, presenting gunfights as honorable duels and justice as clean and decisive. But the reality was far more chaotic and unforgiving. Most encounters were sudden, brutal, and deeply personal. The Henry rifle thrived in this environment because it did not require precision under pressure. It rewarded speed, aggression, and preparation. With its ability to fire repeatedly without reloading, it eliminated the pause that once gave opponents a chance to survive. This single innovation altered the psychology of conflict, replacing fear of missing with confidence in overwhelming force. This is Western Tales Official, where we go beyond legend to uncover the truth buried beneath the dust of history. Today's story is not about heroes or villains alone. It is about a tool that accelerated violence and empowered individuals to become judge, jury, and executioner. As you listen, ask yourself this question. When technology gives ordinary people extraordinary power, does it bring safety or does it simply make destruction more efficient? Stay with us and consider subscribing to Western Tales Official for deep, unfiltered stories from the American frontier that history books often soften or ignore. To understand the Henry rifle's impact, we must first understand how radically different it was from everything that came before it. Prior to its arrival, most firearms on the frontier were single-shot or slow-loading weapons. Each shot required careful preparation, measured movements, and precious seconds. The Henry rifle erased those limitations. Its lever action mechanism allowed the shooter to fire again and again in rapid succession, while its tubular magazine held far more ammunition than any common rifle of the era. This was not just an improvement, it was a revolution. The true power of the Henry rifle lay in its reliability and simplicity. In moments of panic, fine motor skills deteriorate. The Henry required only one repetitive motion, allowing even minimally trained individuals to unleash devastating firepower. This meant that experience mattered less than access. The balance of power shifted instantly toward whoever held the rifle. On the frontier, where encounters were unpredictable and often involved multiple attackers, this advantage could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Historical accounts reveal how quickly word spread about this weapon. Opponents who expected a single shot suddenly faced a continuous barrage. The psychological shock alone was often enough to break resistance. The Henry rifle did not merely kill. It intimidated, suppressed, and controlled. It became known as a weapon that could end conflicts before they fully began. This reputation traveled faster than settlers themselves, shaping decisions and outcomes long before a trigger was ever pulled. What happens when technology moves faster than morality? That question haunted the frontier, even if it was rarely spoken aloud. The Henry rifle represented progress, but it also represented escalation. It made violence easier, faster, and more final. And once that threshold was crossed, there was no turning back. On the frontier, self-defense and aggression often shared the same space. The Henry rifle existed in that blurred line. For settlers facing bandits or raiders, it was a lifeline. For others, it became a tool of domination. As westward expansion accelerated, so did conflict with indigenous populations, and the Henry rifle played a role that cannot be ignored. Its efficiency magnified the imbalance between forces, turning skirmishes into massacres and resistance into tragedy. The concept of justice on the frontier was deeply personal. Without courts, people enforced their own rules. The Henry rifle empowered them to do so decisively. But justice delivered without restraint quickly becomes vengeance. Historical records show how the presence of repeating rifles emboldened individuals and groups to act with certainty that they would prevail. This confidence fueled expansion, but it also erased nuance, negotiation, and mercy. The psychological impact of the Henry rifle was as powerful as its physical effects. Facing an enemy capable of sustained fire shattered traditional tactics and morale. Many conflicts ended not because one side was morally right, but because one side possessed overwhelming technological superiority. This reality forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about how the American West was shaped. Progress was not neutral. It was enforced. As we examine these events, it is critical to separate myth from reality. The Henry rifle did not create violence, but it amplified it. It turned ideology into action and belief into irreversible consequence. And once unleashed, its influence spread far beyond the battlefield. The Henry rifle's legacy did not end with the frontier. Its design laid the foundation for future firearms that would become synonymous with American identity. The Winchester rifles that followed carried the same philosophy. Speed equals power, and power defines outcomes. These weapons became cultural symbols, celebrated in stories, while their consequences were often overlooked. Today, the echoes of frontier justice still resonate. The idea that individuals must defend themselves, that speed and force ensure safety, remains deeply embedded in modern narratives. True crime stories, self-defense debates, and cultural myths all trace their roots back to this era. The Henry rifle stands as a physical reminder of how technology can shape values, behavior, and belief systems across generations. But history demands honesty. The rifle was not just a marvel of engineering. It was an accelerant of suffering. Its efficiency shortened conflicts, but it also shortened lives. Remembering this does not diminish innovation. It contextualizes it. Western Tales Official exists to tell these stories in full, without romantic filters or selective memory. In the end, the Henry rifle forces us to confront a difficult question. Did it bring justice, or did it simply make violence more efficient? The answer is not simple, and that complexity is the true lesson of frontier history. Every technological leap carries a cost, paid not in metal, but in human lives. As you reflect on this story, consider how easily power can shift when innovation outpaces ethics. The Henry rifle was a product of its time, but its implications extend far beyond it. History is not just about what happened, but about what we choose to remember and what we choose to learn. If you value deep historical analysis that challenges myths and explores uncomfortable truths, subscribe to Western Tales Official. Join the conversation, explore the past with clarity, and help keep history honest.